I'm talking today with Dr. Laura Cole. Laura is my colleague in the Department of Finance here at the University of Tennessee, and Laura's a longtime friend. We've known each other for quite a while. Worked together for the last several years, and so Laura, welcome today. Thanks for talking. How's your summer?
Ooh, I'm busy. I think I'm excited to get ready to get back to fall. So fall classes in school. Hopefully we'll make it the entire semester on campus. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Absolutely. Well, welcome back. Let's get started. Laura, you wear a number of hats in the Department of Finance. You teach classes, you mentor our students through a number of different organizations. You just have, I would say, fantastic relationships with a lot of our students, and you keep in touch for a long time. But the one role that I really want to talk about today is your role as director of the Masters Investment Learning Center, or the MILC. So the MILC is something that I think many of our students have heard of, or maybe they've actually seen, but they don't know what it is. And so let's just start there. So what is the MILC?
Well, first of all, thank you for enunciating it correctly. So we're not the MILC Center. We are the MILC, or the Masters ILC, or more simply, the Investment Center. So I always like to start out like where we're located, because I actually don't think most students know where we're located, but they do walk by us almost every day. So off the pedestrian walkway, which is nearest the stadium and Student Union, if you walk through the first set of doors, we're located first on the right in the all glass room. And if you peek in, you'll see our terminals. So that's where we're located. So a little bit about us is who we're named after. We're named after Mike Masters. So, and you've met Mike before, right, Eric?
I have, yes. I've talked to Mike a number of times.
How would you describe him?
Mike is someone who has a long-standing relationship with the University of Tennessee. Mike was a swimmer here in the late 80s, I believe, and he's gone on to become an incredibly successful money manager, and he gives back in a number of ways, and one of those ways is through helping us to create this learning center.
Well, I think you nailed it. I was actually looking for tall.
He's also tall.
He's very tall because he was an Olympic swimmer, and he swam for the University of Tennessee for a long time. And he was a finance major. And when he came here, he struggled to find adequate resources to further his education, although he's a big fan of what we do and what he's learned here. So, and you know way more about him than our average, I guess, student. So normally I would have to explain that the Masters Investment Learning Center is actually not named after the master's degree. So we're not Masters in Business Administration. I think most people think that somehow we're related to getting an MBA.
Right.
And instead we're named after our namesake, which is Mike, and his wife, Suzanne. So, and the goal and intent of the center was really to promote financial literacy initially. So how we went about that is by utilizing Bloomberg software to basically further students' educational core background that they learned here during classes. So that's a little bit about who we are, how we're named, and where we're located. So
yeah, so you say Bloomberg software, and so just to make sure our viewers understand what's going on. When one walks into the bottom floor of HBB and they see the center, there's all of these screens with so it's black backgrounds with green and red flashing letters and ticker tapes going across the bottom. All of that is output from Bloomberg, and so the individual machines in the room host Bloomberg terminals, and so they're basically workstations for the system, and this is I would say an industry standard.
Right. We say the gold standard. We say the gold standard because of the expense of the systems themselves. Yeah. So one thing we like to mention that a lot of the students that may be watching this may remember from when they're doing a tour of the university and they stop by Haslam and they see the investment center for the first time, is that other universities actually have Bloomberg centers, and sometimes they have Bloomberg in their trading labs, but they don't have the number of Bloomberg terminals we do. So currently we have 20, which makes us first in the SEC. We're tied for first in the SEC. I like to just think we're number one, and tied for number 3 in the nation with the number of terminals. And the terminals are very expensive. And the reason they're expensive is just, pivoting back to what you said, the gold standard, meaning that it's going to provide access to real-time data on hundreds and thousands of companies over various market sectors. So pretty much if you're interested in researching a company on any level, from pretty much any industry, Bloomberg would be your first stop resource in doing that.
So you said we have 20 terminals. And so what that effectively means is here physically at the University of Tennessee, we can have 20 people accessing the system at the same time at any given time, really. Well, who has access to this? Who can get on these terminals, or who can enter into the MILC?
That's a great question. So we welcome anyone to walk in the center as long as our blinds are up, we're open. And so we start out with welcoming freshmen, believe it or not, with internship opportunities of working in the center to just be around the terminals and know what the investment arena is like. And then they're up through their progression throughout the academic years. As a sophomore, you would be able to come into the investment center, believe it or not, in your first finance class. You would actually be exposed to what Bloomberg software is, and maybe our more advanced or interested sophomores would come in to learn how to navigate the terminal itself. And then in your junior and senior year, as well as graduate students, you're welcome to come into the investment center to learn how to navigate the Bloomberg terminal through a variety of courses we provided, which I think we should probably touch on in just a bit. So that's a whole other discussion, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we will get to that in just a second. But you mentioned internships. So students can either access the terminals sort of as consumers or as learners, but there's also a limited number of opportunities for students to actually work there throughout the course of a semester or two. Is that what you're talking about when you say internships?
Yes. So we call them either Bloomberg interns or Bloomberg analysts. And if you're a finance major, so you have to be a declared finance major, you can basically apply to be a Bloomberg intern in your freshman or sophomore year. And we say interns because basically as freshman or sophomore, you don't really know a whole lot about finance or Bloomberg itself to be teaching it or doing research for professors yet. Then as a junior or senior, after you've taken your first finance class, we then formally hire you in a paid position to be a Bloomberg analyst. And we have a very small number of positions that we do offer to our finance majors. We hire anywhere between 10 to 15 in a given semester, and they're part-time employment opportunities. So you are an employee of UT and of the investment center, and you get to interact with other students. You get to gather data for professors. You get to learn a lot about the world of investments. So.
Well, I think the timing of this is huge because for an incoming freshman, many may not understand this right now, but if you're a finance major, you don't take a finance class until probably the first semester of your junior year, maybe the second semester of your sophomore year if you're really on it. But so you walk in from day one. If you actually have interest in finance and you've gone ahead and declared your major, you can step in and start your learning journey really from day one, which I think is an outstanding opportunity.
Right. I'm always surprised that most finance majors don't realize that they can't learn about finance until the end of their sophomore or traditionally their junior year, and that there's this large gap. But we offer a lot of opportunities for freshmen and sophomore as a department to be involved, whether it's through our student organizations or through the investment center itself. So just because you're a freshman or sophomore doesn't mean that you can't learn about finance being your major potentially.